Well, good evening, and welcome again to the 2012 Fad. I will be your host for this evening. My name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about real democracy, the ballot, and how the only real and honest and true way to restore the republic, and the USA is really a republic. It's not a democracy. A republic is a representative government. We vote for one person to represent us, and that person speaks with us with one voice. A democracy is mob rule, and that's what we have today. And of course, as we all know, in chaos, there is profit, especially if you're a banker. So the only real way to restore the republic is to go back to paper ballots, hand-counted by local volunteers, with witnesses, and to have the choice, the option on the paper ballot itself of none of the above, which would then require a new election, a new vote, with all different candidates. It will never happen, of course, but it should give you a nice warm feeling that you are actually trying. And sometimes, frankly, that is enough. And now, with so little time left to us, maybe that can be your one happy thought. Tonight I thought we would chat about Cobalt 60, the poor man's nuclear bomb. Now, as I always say to you, I am fast food. I'm your 15-minute-a-day report on what horrors we are facing as a people, as a race, as a planet. And Cobalt 60, if you really want real facts, real details, real in-depth reporting, you want to know to the minute detail what's going on. Again, I will refer you to Mr. Jeff Rense at his website, rense.com, rense.com. And I would strongly suggest you listen to all the reports, all the interviews that Mr. Jeff Rense has done with a gentleman in England by the name of Tim Refat. Mr. Tim Refat is an expert on all things black magic ritual that our masters use to gain control of, to keep control over all of us. Mr. Refat also knows what the enemy of our enemies, our masters, are up to. And he knows a lot about Cobalt 60. And I have to admit, Cobalt 60 is my all-time favorite so far. It's the great equalizer. Many years ago, 100 years ago, in the Old West in America, the handgun was called the great equalizer. It gave the common man or woman the chance to defend themselves against evil. And the one thing that scares evil to death, scares us white, is someone who will shoot back at them. That is why, and we have spoke about this in previous episodes, the major supporters of gun control are the mafia, the government, the local street gangs, the bankers, anyone who wants to hurt you, rob you, rape you. They don't want you to have a gun. Why? Because all thugs are cowards. All thugs are bullies. I grew up with thugs like this. They tortured me because they could. They torture the individual when there's a gang of them. They go after the weak, the helpless, the hopeless, the defenseless, and only if they're all alone. And there are 20 of them, and there's one of you. They're cowards, they're bullies. Trust me on this one. And if you have the power to fight back when they try to hurt you, it's amazing. They go screaming into the night, crying in terror. They literally wet themselves in fear. And I've actually heard them screaming, "That's not fair. How dare you defend yourself?" It's incredible. The bullies, the thugs, the government, the bankers, they want you to be powerless, helpless, and terrified so they can hurt you. As I say, I grew up with low-level street thugs who served the CIA, U.S. Army Air Corps Intelligence, the OSS. The OSS is what the CIA used to be called. And I forget which of the Dulles brothers it was who turned the OSS into the CIA. And he used as a model for the CIA the Jesuit order of the Catholic Church, which shows you how far back evil truly goes. And these guys loved the power they had over innocent people, these street thugs I grew up with. They loved the fact that they were connected with powerful people. In one case, two of these simple-minded child-raping thugs, they loved to emulate their masters, were on a first-name basis with President Dwight David Eisenhower. And they had control of key airports in Southern California, where that were used And these were in the middle of nowhere, 14,000-foot runways and nobody for like hundreds of miles. And planes would fly in filled with spies, drugs, whatever was illegal. And it was these two low-level Homer Simpson-like characters who got away with rape and theft and extortion. Anything they wanted, because they were connected. And they loved that power. They were big fish in like tiny little puddles, not even ponds. Now imagine what would have happened, for example, to these two power-mad, low-level street thugs if everybody in the little town that they had control of, where the airport was, if everybody in town was armed. What if all their intended victims carried a pistol? And what if, when threatened by these two nobodies with powerful friends, their intended victims pulled out their guns and started shooting at them? The thugs would be powerless. The thugs would do what all thugs do when their victims fight back. They would run away, screaming, wetting themselves in fear. I've seen it. It's incredible. So what, you ask? Well, so everything. Cobalt 60 is the poor man's, or in this case, the poor country's weapon of choice, the great equalizer. Because right after the superpowers, the US, Great Britain, Israel, actually the axis of evil, should they ever fire missiles at one of these poor countries that don't have missiles of their own, and those missiles have nuclear weapons on them, that's where Cobalt 60 comes in. What is Cobalt 60? Well, you've heard of irradiated food. You're probably eating it, especially if you shop at any large, big chain grocery store. Irradiated food is food that is exposed to radiation. So what does that, what does that do? What it does is it kills everything in the food that might make it spoil. Here in Europe, for example, you can buy irradiated milk. And that is stored in or packed in a cardboard carton, and it lasts for months. How is that possible? At room temperature. Because it's been exposed to radiation. Of course, after being exposed to radiation, milk or food has no nutritional value at all. And I'm guessing, just like with your microwave oven, being exposed to radiation changes the food and basically reduces it from food into various poisons that your body cannot digest, and will cause you to become ill. And in way too many cases, will cause you to hallucinate, will damage your brain. My soulmate here in Europe, the one who wants me dead, it's very clear that she's been affected by microwave radiation and by eating irradiated foods. Completely irrational behavior. The fact that she wants me dead, that she hates me, I think that's probably the only rational thought she's ever had. And plus it proves she has really good taste. So again, so what? What's the point? What does irradiated food have to do with Cobalt 60? Well, the radioactive material used to irradiate your food is Cobalt 60. And the facilities that irradiate your food are everywhere. And you probably don't even know where these plants are. But should someone steal some Cobalt 60, and many countries have already purchased Cobalt 60 from North Korea, a country sworn to destroy the United States, more on that later, you can process this stuff in your kitchen, turn it into a powder, and then spread that powder throughout the cities of your enemies' countries. How? Well, let's say you're an agent for your country and you're stationed in a western city somewhere. You wait until you read in the local newspapers or you hear on the radio that your country has been attacked with nuclear-tipped missiles. Your job? You go into the highest building in that foreign city where you're living and you empty your pockets into the sky. Your pockets are filled with powder. Now you're already dead. At least you hope you'll die. Because one particle of this Cobalt 60 powder in your lungs will destroy you. Now, it will not kill you immediately, but you will lose your mind. It's guaranteed instant insanity, instant madness. Watch any of your favorite zombie movies, and you will see your own future. The moment the psycho Israelis launch a nuclear attack against Iran, They're Iranians stationed in all major cities in the West, and they will walk around town emptying their pockets of dust. The fact that Israel controls the United States and Great Britain should be of some small concern of yours, since our masters do indeed want to stage the Christian Bible event of Armageddon in the Middle East. As you know, we've talked about this numerous times. They want to call their God back to earth. Their God happens to be Satan. Whether you believe it or not, they do. They want to put him on the throne of earth. And then, when you just think they can't get any more nuttier, after they put their god Satan on the throne of earth, they intend to rise up, throw him down, take his place, and make themselves gods. There is no way we can communicate with these people, with our masters, because this is how they think. These are the dreams they have. So, Cobalt 60, the great equalizer. What can you and I do about any of this? Nothing. All we can do, all you and I can do, is run away and hide. And after living this nightmare for more than 4 decades, I am more than ready to run for the hills myself. Because whether you are preparing for the event, or the mass sacrifice by death by HARP, or the nuclear war, or the Cobalt 60 retaliation, any of which signals the return of their god, their Satan, to earth, it's really no longer a question of if. It's a question of when and which. And you know that we here at the 2012 Fad, we have a plan. And I really, really hope you have a plan too. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day and reminding you, please, keep a good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel fighting his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.